What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another top 10. And this week's winner from the poll was West Ham. Now, it was the first time West Ham have been in the poll, and I was surprised that it won, to be honest, because when I put it in, it was up against a lot of Italian giants, and it got, I think it was like 2 or 3 clear of the rest of them. So thank you for everyone that voted. It did surprise me, but this is what I love about polls and having a community where you guys decide what we're going to do. So thank you for everyone that voted. Make sure you subscribe. 2,000 subscribers by the 1st of December is the target. We will get there, but I can only do it with your support. Hope you enjoy this one. Let me know who you would have in your top 10 for all-time West Ham players and who would be your number 1. Drop them in the comments below. Let's get into it. Number 10, Payet. Now, he was only there for a couple of seasons and the fans wanted him for longer, and I don't blame them for them wanting him longer. When he wanted to turn up and play, he was by far the best player on the pitch. I remember a free kick he scored that was just the amount of swerve and curl on it was ridiculous. But just the technique he had, the skills, quick feet, just a very exciting player to watch, and one that I wish we could have seen more of in the Premier League, but went back to Marseille. But then a few years he was at West Ham. I think he was a fan favourite easily, and he was a magician. So Payet, number 10. Number 9, Defoe. Yes, he was quite a young player at the time at West Ham, but he was still getting the numbers in terms of goals. And I remember him for West Ham before he even got bought by Tottenham. So I think he was still doing it at a very young age there for West Ham, in the top flight, being involved, even coming off the bench and doing it, but also started quite a bit for a guy of his age at the time as well. So went on to have a fantastic career, scored a lot of goals, and doing it at a young age at West Ham on the big stage was impressive, and he went on to have a very good career. So Defoe, number 9. Number 8, Scott Parker. Obviously, we'd just be coming up with Bournemouth for a new challenge in the Premier League, try and keep them up. Didn't work when he tried to do it with Fulham, but he has a second stab at it. We'll have to see how he does. As a player, he was one of them kind of Dennis Wise characters, nasty, aggressive in the midfield, tenacious, but he could score a banger as well. Didn't score a whole ton of goals, but he was a confidence player when he got his goals from midfield. Wasn't his forte scoring goals, obviously, but he could pop up at the odd time and help his team out. But a very good leader, a good captain. He had a season or two at West Ham where I thought he was really on fire and really playing well for them. So has to be in the list for me. Scott Parker, number 8. Number 7, a little bit of a surprise probably for some people, but I remember him at West Ham, and I think he is underrated, and he helped them gain promotion into the top flight, I believe, if I remember correctly. And it's Marlon Harewood. Powerful, tall, strong, quick for someone his size. Technique was really good for someone his size as well. Scored a lot of goals. And I remember seeing him a lot when I was growing up, and I think he was very underrated. So not a whole lot to say on him. He definitely had his moments. As I said, for a guy of his size, I think he showed great technique, good goal-scoring ability, and one that doesn't ever really get a mention, so I wanted to include him in mine. Marlon Harewood, number 7. Number 6, recently retired, and you could see what it meant to him, Mark Noble. He is Mr. West Ham, was that mentor for Declan Rice as well, and he will be sorely missed from West Ham fans. Loyal to them all his life, come up through the academy and everything, local lad as well, and I think he will always be involved with the club because he is Mr. West Ham, been there all his life, served them most of his life, to be honest. So Mark Noble, a great leader. It's a shame he didn't get to win anything really with them, like in the Premier League or in like the FA Cup or something like that, but he was always around the team when he was fit, and a captain for a long time for them, and as I said, offered that mentor role for Declan Rice, as Declan Rice has been coming into the team in the last few years, and we've seen how well he's doing. A lot of that he dedicates to Mark Noble, mentoring him and taking him under his wing in that position, and giving him his experience and advice as the captain to the vice-captain at the time. So Mark Noble, number 6. Number 5, just spoke about him, Declan Rice. He's progressed so much in the last couple of years, but especially the last season. Obviously with the Euros, he was heavily involved, played very well in the Euros. Obviously got to a semi-final with West Ham in the Europa League. Fantastic run they went on in that, and he was a major part of it. Scored a couple goals, I believe, in the tournament in that. One of them, he ran pretty much the whole pitch and scored, which when I watched it, I would never have imagined that he would have the capability of doing. And he keeps surprising me with different things he keeps adding to his game. And I think he will probably be future England captain. I think he can only get better. He's already improved drastically over the last season. There was a lot of hype around him when he first came onto the scene, but I think he's lived up to it and exceeded, to be honest. He's better than I thought he was going to be, and there's a lot of clubs that are after him, so and I'm not surprised by it. And as I said, that run in the Europa League with West Ham, he's the leader of that team. I know Noble was there as well, but he probably played more than Noble. Do you know what I mean? So, and he is now the captain of West Ham, like, properly. He was always that vice-captain role when Noble was playing. And then when Noble was on the bench or injured, then Rice would be captain. But now Noble's retired, it now falls fully on the shoulders of Rice as the first team captain. There's a lot of pressure on him, but I think he can handle it. And I think he's proven already he can handle it. So I think he's only going to get better. And it's only good news for England as well. So Declan Rice, number 5. What I'd also like to say as well about Declan Rice, which I don't really think gets spoken about, but I think has a huge part to play in his character, is the fact of he's so positive. When you see him, he's always celebrating. He's always got a beaming smile on his face. And it's great to see, because there's a lot of stuff that gets spoken about footballers that's negative, and it's not a great business in terms all the time of the fans getting on the players a lot. And even when he gets criticism and stuff, which I don't think's always justified, he's always got a positive attitude. He always seems happy and energetic, even when you see him in interviews and stuff. So I just wanted to mention that, because I think he's a great role model, Declan Rice, off the pitch as well as on it. Declan Rice, number 5. Number 4, Joe Cole. Was very young at West Ham, come through the academy. They got him from the streets, basically. He was very raw. I think he matured at his time at West Ham, but he was always that show pony, if you will. But he had quality as well, where he could score you goals, he could get assists, but he just loved to play football and show off, basically. And I love them sort of players. Might drive the manager mad at times, might drive his teammates mad at times, but when he gets it right, they all want to be his best mate. So he's one of my favourite ever players, just in terms of an individual and just a baller. You could see that street baller in him, and I think he kept that throughout his career. And he was always a favourite of mine watching him, because he played like that. And I know that he's fondly remembered and thought of at West Ham for what he did at such a young age. I know that Ferdinand spoke about it a lot, and other players have, that they knew about Joe Cole even before, if they were in the first team at West Ham and he hadn't even come through yet, just in the academy and reserves and stuff, they knew about him, because people were speaking about him even at youth level because of what he was doing. So Joe Cole, number 4. Number 3, Michael Antonio. I watched him in his rawest form when he came through at Reading. I used to go and watch Reading a lot. Could play it in like a wing-back role, but also as a winger. And he always had that energy that he's still got. He always had that work ethic and enthusiasm that he has still. But he has developed a lot in terms of his finishing ability, his composure, timing of runs and positioning. He's definitely improved on all that. When I saw him at Reading, I always liked him, but I never would have said that he would have gone on to the level he has and done what he's done. I think for a number of years, he's been West Ham's in their top 2 or 3 players each season for about 2 or 3 years now. And I think even when he's not fully on it, he can still offer something and change the game up. And I think he's just very underrated in terms of he can play in different positions if you want him to. But he came from basically a winger, and he's played in defence before at Reading at times. And he's transitioned his game, and he's got better and better, and now he's pretty much their number 9. So a lot of West Ham's play goes through him, and I think he's a vital character in that dressing room as well. And he proves it on the pitch week in and week out, so has to make this list, put some respect on his name. I don't think he gets enough of it. Michael Antonio, number 3. Number 2, Carlos Tevez. Came into that West Ham team, and everyone was like, whoa, this is a massive risk. I remember when he got bought with Mascherano, and people were like, oh, this is a very big risk here. But I think he went on to be one of the best ever players in their history, hence why I've got him at number 2. I think he helped them survive relegation, if I'm right. I remember some of the goals he scored for them. Just a fantastic player. Obviously, we got him at Manchester United later on, and he was one of my favourite ever United players at the time as well. So, and he still is. Like, when I look back on it, I loved him when he was at United. Went to Man City, which I wasn't happy about, but we couldn't stop it. And I've always been an admirer of him. I've always been a fan of him. I know he's not always he's not always the best person to get on with his teammates and managers off the pitch and stuff. But when he's playing, you know he's going to give you the effort. A lot of people moaned that he didn't like training. But who cares if you don't like training when you can play and perform like he did week in, week out on game day? And his work rate is one of the best I've ever seen in my life. He was so tenacious, but it's pressing off the ball. We talk about modern football and how much managers focus on pressing off the ball now. This guy was doing it before it was even really a factor as much as it is now. And that's what I loved about him. Even at United, he was at a massive club with massive players, but he didn't let that get to his ego. He could have been like the rest and sort of thought, I'm not running about, but he didn't. And people moan about him, but like I said, he proved it in the games. Scored a lot of goals. His work rate was so underrated and helped get his teams, whatever team he was at, the win and the 3 points. So Carlos Tevez, one of my all-time favourites, especially at West Ham as well, number 2. Number 1, Paolo Di Canio. The scissor kick goal he scored from just, I think it was outside the box, wasn't it? Or it was at least on the edge of it. I've never seen a goal like that from that distance and that type of angle, the difficulty of it. Apparently people have seen him score it in training before, but then he did it in a game. Unbelievable goal, one of the best ever in Premier League history. The confidence he had, I've heard Ferdinand and other players talk about him again, like Joe Cole, in terms of his ability and in training, the stuff he would do, you wouldn't believe what you just saw. His fitness, apparently he had brilliant stamina. I know he could be a bit charismatic and a little bit harsh and blunt at times in terms of you didn't know if he was going to get sent off and stuff, but without that passion you wouldn't have had the same Paolo Di Canio. As I said, a fantastic player. He's offered some comedic moments as well as a player, with that pushing the referee over, booking the ref, but also sportsmanlike. I remember I think he got called offside or something for a goal or something, and he wouldn't allow it even though he scored. He was like, nah, and then he told the ref or something he was offside or something like that. Excuse me if I'm wrong, but I remember there's some sort of bit where he scored or a penalty was given or something, and he said to the ref and the player that, nah, like, I dived basically, or he was offside or something. So had that side of him. He just was a very liked character, I believe, and a very well respected, highly respected as a player. And then I know he's a bit controversial as a manager, but I've even heard players do podcasts and things where they've spoke about him as a manager and how he's a bit crazy and stuff, but they also loved how he trained them for football and the training that he did and how he liked his teams to play. So, and he was just a baller, again, an individual that could change a game on the flip of a coin. And obviously captained them as well. So I think he did it in a West Ham team that were arguably less talented than the West Ham team now, and they were doing well, but a lot of it was on his shoulders, and he performed week in, week out most weeks. So Paolo Di Canio, easily number 1 all-time West Ham player for me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys, and who your top 10 would be and your number 1. 2,000 subscribers by the 1st of December. Don't let me down, guys. Don't let me down. Let's get it. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.